Stop living in my house and eating my food. Her words hit me harder than any physical blow could. My daughter's face is flushed, eyes wide with rage, jaw tight, hands trembling as she points toward the door. 70 years on this earth, white-skinned, clean-shaved, decent hair, and still, I feel the sting, not from the shove that will come, but from the disbelief in her expression. She sees me as a burden, a shadow she can discard with anger and noise. She doesn't see the years I've spent quietly holding this family together. She doesn't see the patience, the sacrifices, the countless times I paid bills or fixed things without a word. Tonight, she believes I am useless. Before I can respond, she shoves me roughly, and I stumble across the threshold. My back hits the doorframe, the sharp knock sending a jolt of pain through my spine. But worse than the pain is the sting of rejection. I steady myself, hands braced against the wall, chest tightening. Every ounce of love I've poured into her life, the groceries bought, the electricity kept on, the roof maintained, the rent and taxes paid, is invisible to her tonight. Her anger has blinded her to it all. I hear her slam the door, and the sound reverberates through the house, loud and final. She has made the house hers, yet she does not realize it was my care that built the foundation she stands on. Outside, the night is cold. I walk slowly down the street, each step heavy, letting the distant hum of traffic fill the quiet she has left behind. I think about every dinner she ate without saying thanks, every time she watched television while I repaired a leak or balanced the accounts. She never looked at the statements, never noticed the bills, never acknowledged the invisible work that kept her life comfortable. And tonight, her fury is blind to everything but her frustration, her sense of control. I pause beneath a street lamp, feeling the warmth of its glow on my face, and I think about irony. The truth is patient. It waits. And the consequences of neglect, ignorance, and pride are about to arrive. I don't feel anger, only a quiet satisfaction that she will learn, whether she wants to or not. I think back to the day she first moved into this house as a teenager, full of laughter and entitlement, never imagining the weight carried by someone quietly providing for her. Nothing has changed except the form of her fury. By nightfall, I return to my small study across town. I sit at the desk, papers spread out, bills, account statements, receipts all meticulously recorded. I glance at each one, remembering the countless nights I stayed up to ensure everything was paid on time, every light switched on, every repair completed. She had lived her life oblivious, assuming comfort was effortless, taking every benefit as her due. Tonight, she yells and shoves, but tomorrow, the consequences of her ignorance will arrive in a way she cannot ignore. I sip my tea quietly, watching the city lights flicker through the window, imagining her morning. She will wake to a series of notices, a truth she has dismissed for years. Electricity, water, groceries, rent, taxes, every item she assumed existed, because of luck will reveal who truly made her life possible. And when she finally sees it, her pride will shatter. The shock will be complete, the panic undeniable. She will learn that care and responsibility, though invisible, carry weight beyond fury, and shouting. By dawn, she will discover the truth in full. The house she claimed as hers, the life she took for granted, the comforts she ignored, they all point to one undeniable fact. Every bill she overlooked, every payment she dismissed, every convenience she assumed as free, was paid by the man she kicked out into the night. And for the first time, she will understand, not with words, not with arguments, but with raw, unfiltered realization, who carried the weight of her life all these years. The door she slammed so violently will no longer shield her from the lesson. The night is silent now, but the storm is only just beginning. The night stretches long, and I return to the house only after making sure she's settled into her storm of anger. I don't knock. I don't announce myself. 70 years of patience have taught me that some lessons are absorbed best when experienced. She sits alone in the living room, the glow of a single lamp casting shadows across the furniture, her hands trembling as she fidgets with her phone. I can hear her muttering under her breath, trying to justify her fury, trying to convince herself she is right. She doesn't realize how close she is to discovering the truth. I watch from the shadowed doorway, quiet, calm, steady. My white skin, clean-shaved face, neat hair, and 70 years of endurance are visible, yet unassuming. She doesn't notice me. She won't notice me until she has faced reality. The bills are already in motion. The notices, the confirmations, the reminders she ignored for years, they are moving through the system, invisible until the right moment. And that moment is approaching. She paces the room now, phone in hand, scrolling, checking, questioning every small sound, every slight flicker of the light. She doesn't see the fireplace, the quiet order I maintained, the refrigerator stocked, the furnace humming. She doesn't notice the lights that stay on, the water that never falters, the roof that never leaks. All of it quietly maintained while she focused on her anger, her control, her loud declarations of independence. And yet tonight, the foundations I built are about to reveal themselves, and she will see what she ignored. I slip into the kitchen silently, checking the small stack of envelopes I left earlier. Electricity, water, rent, internet, groceries, every bill accounted for, every account balanced. Every piece of paper is proof, evidence that I carried the weight of her comfortable life while she screamed at me and pushed me into the night. I set the envelopes neatly on the counter, knowing that when she opens them tomorrow morning, her panic will be complete. The shock will be visceral. The realization will hit her in the chest harder than any argument could. I sit at the kitchen table, leaning back, letting the quiet hum of the refrigerator fill the room. I think about all the moments she took for granted: laundry folded, meals prepared, repairs completed, late-night drives for forgotten items. She assumed these were effortless, her right, her due. Tonight, she will learn how much effort, foresight, and quiet patience went unnoticed, unappreciated, and yet sustained everything she has ever depended on. And she will scream not at me, but at reality itself. I imagine the morning. She wakes, bleary-eyed, expecting to continue her life uninterrupted. Then she sees the envelopes, the notices, the confirmations. Each one tells the same story. Someone carried the weight she refused to acknowledge. Panic will set in. Her mind will race, fingers trembling, heart pounding. She will realize, piece by piece, that every convenience she assumed was free, every comfort she enjoyed without thought, had a price. And that price was me. By mid-morning, she will call out in frustration, confusion, disbelief. She will check account after account, struggling to comprehend how everything she ignored was already taken care of. The shock will be total. The revelation will crush her pride. And as she stumbles through her panic, I will remain calm, steady, a quiet observer of the storm she has created herself. 70 years of patience, foresight, and endurance are about to be recognized. Whether she is ready or not, the night has passed. The storm inside the house has faded, but the consequences are arriving, relentless and undeniable. She does not yet know how thoroughly she has been supported, how completely she has been provided for, or how every bill she ignored has been quietly paid. She will discover the truth soon, and when she does, the anger, pride, and ignorance of tonight will collide with the reality she never considered. And I sit quietly, watching, waiting, knowing that the lesson she has been blind to for years is about to make itself known. The moment is coming. She will see who truly kept the life she takes for granted intact. And she will finally understand sometimes. The work you never see is the most important work of all. Morning light filters weakly through the blinds, casting pale stripes across the living room. My daughter stirs first, groaning and stretching, oblivious to the reality awaiting her. She yawns, rubs her eyes, and glances around, expecting the same quiet order she has always assumed was effortless. Then she notices the small stack of envelopes I left neatly on the counter. Her brow furrows as she picks up the first one, electricity bill in hand, and begins reading. Confusion crosses her face. She blinks, fingers trembling. Her eyes widen as comprehension slowly dawns. The first shock hits her like a punch to the chest. "Wait, this is paid?" she mutters, voice shaking. She picks up another envelope, water, rent, internet, groceries, all accounted for, all paid. Panic begins to replace confusion. Her hands tremble violently now, and she stumbles back, looking around the kitchen as if the walls themselves are conspiring against her. Every convenience she ever took for granted, every small comfort she ignored or mocked, suddenly has a source: me. 70 years of patient endurance, careful planning, and unseen work all laid bare in these simple envelopes. She paces the kitchen, voice rising. "I don't understand. I paid nothing? All of this? You did it?" Her eyes glisten with tears, a mix of anger, disbelief, and dawning shame. I sit quietly at the table, 70 years old, white-skinned, clean-shaved, hair neat, watching. I don't speak. There is no need. She must feel it fully, absorb the weight of every ignored contribution. The room is silent except for her shallow breaths and the faint hum of the refrigerator, which she now notices for the first time. She slams an envelope down on the counter, hands shaking. "Why didn't you tell me?" she demands, voice cracking. "Why let me scream, push, kick? All this time?" I finally speak, softly, measured, calm. "I wanted you to see. Not hear, not argue. See for yourself." Her chest rises and falls rapidly, eyes darting across the kitchen, scanning bills, statements, receipts. The reality is overwhelming. Every single act she ignored, every comfort she assumed came free, is now undeniable proof. The panic tightens around her like a vice. She sinks to the floor, head in hands, trembling. All these years, I thought I was independent. I didn't even notice. Her voice breaks, a sob catching in her throat. She looks up at me, searching for an explanation, for reassurance, for a miracle that might undo the truth. I remain steady, patient, quiet. The lesson is far more powerful than anger or punishment. She must live this realization fully. Minutes stretch as she reviews each envelope repeatedly, disbelief and shame washing over her in waves. The storm of last night, her fury, her shouts, her rejection, has been replaced by a storm of comprehension. The weight of what she dismissed, what she ignored, presses down on her. She is forced to acknowledge not just the bills, but the years of invisible work, the quiet patience, the foresight that maintained her life without recognition. Her hands tremble as she finally sets the last envelope down. Tears streak her pale face. She takes a shaky breath and whispers, I didn't realize. All this, it was you." The words are raw, unpolished, and filled with remorse. The full scope of her ignorance, pride, and entitlement has collided with reality. And she has nowhere to turn but toward the truth she spent years avoiding. I stand slowly, walking toward her, my presence calm and steady. My hand rests lightly on her shoulder. She flinches at first, then leans into it, finally accepting both the comfort and the correction. She doesn't speak again immediately. The weight of her comprehension, the shame, the gratitude, the newfound respect for the quiet work that sustained her life, all of it fills the room. Sunlight pours through the window, dust motes dancing in golden light, illuminating the chaos she caused and the lesson she is finally learning. She finally rises, trembling, voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. I never understood." I nod slowly, letting her words settle. The apology is not just for her anger, her shoves, or her accusations. It is for the blindness, the ignorance, and the years she failed to notice the quiet, enduring care I provided. This is her reckoning, and it is complete. The room is quiet now. The envelopes remain on the counter, proof of effort, foresight, and patience. She looks at me again, eyes filled with understanding, remorse, and awe. The lesson has landed. She will never take it for granted again. The storm has passed, but its memory will guide her for the rest of her life. And I, 70 years old, white-skinned, clean-shaved, with calm eyes and steady hands, know that sometimes the most important lessons are learned not through words, but through the undeniable weight of reality. She has finally seen it. The house is quiet now, but the weight of last night's fury still lingers in the air. My daughter sits on the couch, head bowed, hands trembling as she finally absorbs the reality she ignored for years. Every bill, every payment, every quiet act of care she dismissed now lies bare before her, undeniable. I step closer, 70 years old, white-skinned, clean-shaved, hair neat, my presence calm and steady. I sit beside her, letting the silence speak louder than words ever could. She doesn't look at me at first, her gaze fixed on the envelopes I left on the counter. The proof of what she never noticed. Her hands shake violently as she picks one up again. This time studying it carefully, almost in disbelief. Electricity, water, groceries, rent, insurance, all meticulously accounted for. Her chest rises and falls quickly, and for the first time, she realizes the full scope of what she has taken for granted. Anger drains from her expression, replaced by a mixture of shock, regret, and awe. I didn't realize. I never even noticed. She whispers, voice cracking. I place a gentle hand on hers. There is no scolding, no anger, only quiet strength, patience, and enduring care. Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating floating dust particles and casting warm golden light across the room. She glances at the fireplace, the counter, the envelopes, then finally up at me. Her eyes widen as understanding slowly settles in. Every convenience she assumed was effortless. Every comfort she enjoyed without thought had a source. And that source was me. I've carried the weight of her life quietly, patiently, and now the truth is undeniable. The shock is complete, the lesson unavoidable. Tears streak her pale face as she finally rises, pacing the room slowly, fists clenched, then relaxing as comprehension takes hold. All these years, everything I assumed was easy. You did it all? She asks, voice trembling. I nod quietly. Yes, I did it because I wanted you to have comfort, to be safe, to never feel lack. But you needed to see, not just hear. Now you see. Her eyes glisten, shame and awe mingling as she realizes the scale of what she dismissed. She sits back on the couch, head in hands, sobbing softly. I remain seated beside her, steady and calm. I'm sorry, she murmurs again, voice low, sincere, filled with regret. I place a steady hand on her shoulder, letting the gesture communicate what words cannot. The apology is not just for anger or disrespect, it is for blindness, entitlement, and failure to acknowledge the quiet labor of love that sustained her entire life. The house is calm now, sunlight highlighting both the remnants of last night's storm and the beginnings of her reflection and understanding. Minutes pass, each one heavy with realization. She lifts her head, face pale but transformed, and looks at me with newfound respect and humility. The chaos of her ignorance has been replaced with clarity. Every envelope, every bill, every effort I made in silence has spoken the truth she never wanted to hear. Patience, foresight, and care endure. She finally leans slightly into me, shoulders relaxing, tears drying, letting the lesson settle in fully. I rise slowly, letting her adjust to the calm. Dust motes float in the sunbeams, the faint embers of the fireplace glowing softly, remnants of the night's storm. She glances at the envelopes again, understanding at last that comfort has a source, that independence requires acknowledgement, and that life itself is sustained by quiet, consistent care. The panic, the anger, the shouting, they are all behind her now. What remains is reflection, comprehension, and the start of humility. She finally meets my eyes, tears still lingering, expression softened, voice barely a whisper. I understand now. I see everything you've done. I nod gently. The lesson is complete. Sometimes the most important teachings are not shouted or argued, but revealed quietly, patiently, through undeniable truth. She has learned what it means to see, to reflect, and to respect the invisible work that carries life. The storm has passed. The lesson is permanent. The envelopes remain on the counter as proof. The house is calm, and she is changed. And I, 70 years old, white-skinned, clean-shaved, calm and patient, watch knowing that foresight, endurance, and quiet care have won not through confrontation, but through undeniable reality. Today she has finally seen. Today she has finally learned. And in that understanding, a quiet peace settles over both of us, a lesson etched into memory, never to be forgotten.